I've been using this tablet computer to shoot time lapses, and for that I made this bracket which holds it on a tripod, but the camera on this one isn't terribly good, and so we bought an iPad, and this one is not the same size, so I'd like to make something to hold this on the tripod. So instead of just holding the tablet on two sides, I'm thinking of using a piece of plywood and having some rails that the iPad is just going to slide into. Now ideally I'd put these rails on all sides, but then I wouldn't be able to get it out. And I've also got the button here, the speakers, the USB connector, and on the other side there's the microphone that I shouldn't cover up, the camera, this camera, and there's these buttons. Okay, that takes care of the speakers. It'll even direct the sound forward. The next challenge is these buttons right here. I don't want to make a huge cutout for those, so my thought was to just have a dowel through the rail like that to extend the buttons like that. But then what keeps this from falling out? So then I had a better idea to just have a shallow hole with a disc in it like that, and that can move just a bit without falling out, and I can use that to push the buttons. I sanded these to get them roughly round in the right shape. I think they'll be good enough, but I'll carve out the edge here just a tiny bit so they can travel a bit further. I just cut this one to length so that if this is flush here, these are in the right spot. Now I can start gluing this together. I just have to be careful not to glue the buttons in place. Now I need a hole for the camera, and that ends up right about here, right here. Maybe a tiny bit off. Next I need a hole for the microphone. There's a hole on the side, plus a tiny hole on the back, and that's for balancing it a bit, so I should free that up as well as the path around it. Now I need to cut this to length, and I think I want it to protrude past the iPad just a little bit, maybe right here. Now I need a way to keep this from sliding out, and for that I think I'll just put some rubber bands in some notches on the corners like this. I screwed up a little bit because when this iPad is in here, these buttons don't work because I have a little bit of play in this direction. So I made a shim to go in here, and with that in there, I can use those buttons. I'm not 100% sure about this shim, so I'm only gluing it in with some glue stick. Now I just need a way to mount this to a tripod. Last time I just tapped a hole straight into the wood, and that works well enough, but I just happen to have a 1/4 inch threaded insert here, so I'll use that instead, and I'll put a block on the back to attach this to. This is sliding away on me. I think I have to put one just on the top of it. I just put some varnish on this, and I put some black paint around the camera hole, but I realized I'm missing a very important feature. If you're using an Apple product, you gotta show the logo. Ah, off center again. Fixed it. I got it on a tripod now, and I figured I might as well show you how I use it. So I'm using an app called Skyflow. It's not free, unfortunately. And I'll use it to shoot a time lapse of installing some more lights on the ceiling, because I really need more lights in here. So first I'm stringing a power cord to a socket I installed in the ceiling, and then the adapter for the LED strips. And these LED strips are from AmericanGreenLights.com. I accepted a bunch of these 2 years ago for my old shop in exchange for coverage. I don't do that sort of thing anymore, but people keep asking about where these strips come from every time I show some of them in a video, so I thought I'd just mention it for your information. They're a little bit more expensive than the sort of thing that you can get at Home Depot or Rona, but the idea is they're for commercial installations, and they last much longer at about 70,000 hours. And the payback for them is really intended to be because you don't have to send somebody to replace them when they wear out because they last so long.